Yes, we've got another product we call Immunade, and that's Immunade. And that is a derivative or from a product that we originally developed as a veterinary biologic to treat baby pigs that have E. coli infection, which in an animal barn, when they get E. coli, it stunts their growth and causes all the same kind of problems that humans would have. As a matter of fact, that same E. coli is called enterotoxigenic E. coli, ETEC. Is what causes Montezuma's revenge. So if you go to the Caribbean or Mexico and you get that diarrhea, it's not something you would normally take an antibiotic for, because you will get rid of it on your own typically within 4 or 5 days. But it means 4 or 5 days of being in the bathroom and not on the beach.
Yeah.
So anyway, so not a fun thing. But anyway, so we originally were going to market that just as a diarrhea product, but we didn't want to go through all the treatment, all the trials like we're going through with the C. diff one, because it's time-consuming and expensive. And, we can sort of hint around without making claims that will actually cure your diarrhea, we can say, for digestive health and that kind of thing. And so, anyway, but, so that product has been, selling a little bit. We're not really marketing it very heavily, but back about 6 years ago, I thought, well, if I'm going to sell this to somebody, I'm a little concerned that what if they take it all the time? It was originally just to have, you get to Mexico and I'm feeling lousy, you take it, and it works in about an hour, by the way. That's how fast it works. Oh yeah, no question. Well, it's the same antibodies you would have produced that would have taken you 4 or 5 days to produce. Okay. You're taking them all in one shot and boom, it gets better. So, no, it works great. But anyway, so I thought, well, what if somebody buys this from you and they start taking it every day? I have no idea if maybe you need some E. coli. Anyway, so about 6 years ago, I started taking it every day just to see if there were any negatives to it, which I certainly didn't expect, because again, the ingredients are the worst thing I would expect would be an egg allergy. Anyway, previous to that, for probably about 10 years, I'd been suffering with major arthritis pain, to the point where I was taking medications that I didn't like taking, painkiller medications, and even just to sleep at night, my knees would hurt. I could never get a comfortable position, and both shoulders were the same. Matter of fact, right at this time, I just had an MRI on my right shoulder, and I played rugby for 39 years, and so everything was broken, and so I got the MRI done, which you need to get done before you can go and see the surgeon that would eventually do a surgery and shoulder replacement. Anyway, and so I was just in the process of, I got the MRI done, I got the results. They phoned me the next day and said, severe osteoarthritis in your right shoulder, and I sort of knew that. Anyway, and then. About 3 or 4 weeks later, I get in to see the doctor finally, and he's holding up my chart, severe osteoarthritis. And by this time, I'd been taking the Immunade every day for about 3.5, 4 weeks. And I woke up one morning, no pain, before I went to see the doctor. And so now I got to go in and see him, and I'm thinking, I feel like a hypochondriac. I was complaining about, and I have no pain. And so he says, yeah, you've got severe osteoarthritis. And I went, no, I don't think so. And I'm not kidding you, all the pain gone. So this sort of set off a light bulb, and I hadn't done anything differently, at all, except for taking that Immunade product. And then I thought, well, let's do some research on that, and I checked it out, and there is no question that there's an association between the bugs in your gut and all kinds of chronic illnesses, things like arthritis, asthma, IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, and then even acid reflux, those types of things. And so we had a girl in my lab who makes the vaccine for that actual antibody, the E. coli antibody, and she was on a drug for acid reflux. It was one of the what they call proton pump inhibitors, and they're not a good drug. They're even the label says take it for 2 months and not after that. But most people I know who are on those, and it's called like omeprazole or Nexium and those types of things, they're on it for years. And, they say it's bad for your bones and things like that. But anyway, so I told her, why don't you try this for your acid reflux, because who knows, it might help. And anyway, so about 3 or 4 weeks later, she was taking it every day. She comes back and acid reflux gone. And I said, well, just keep taking it, because I don't know what is causing this to work, but whatever, if you stop, maybe you get the acid reflux back. Well, she was also severe asthmatic, and I mean severe. She would end up in the hospital probably at least 8 nights a month. She would come to work from the hospital, and so she was taking her, what they call her rescue inhaler, like most people take their maintenance inhaler, and anyway, so she kept taking it and came back to me about 3 or 4 weeks later. My asthma's gone. Oh, holy smokes! And so since then we've actually had probably half a dozen people that have completely stopped using their puffers. Matter of fact, her cousin, this is Mena who works in our lab, her cousin is in Toronto, and he was from the age of 5 till 29, severe asthmatic as well. He stopped. He's never hadn't taken a puffer. That's been 5 years for him too, but he never even keep taking it. He got cured, which you can't say that because asthma's not curable.
Yeah.
So they tell you. But anyway, so those are just some of the things. But that's the that E. coli antibody that we have, and so it's another one that and I think Doug takes it regularly. And I don't have any problems now, but I take it still on a daily basis just to if it's stopped that from happening. What might it also be preventing from happening? That's my thoughts on that. But anyway, so oh well, that's the E. coli antibody.